So the first thing that I wanted to start with is just, I know like quite a few of you are probably on the training that we just did where we talked about creating systems for your doTERRA business. And I would just say that back in the day when we did Oil Camp for the very first time, it was huge in the way that it allowed me to put a system into my business. And what I mean by that was it was something that was automated. It was something that did more than what I would ever be able to do for my customers. So it like just really upped the effectiveness and also therefore the retention that we were able to experience on our doTERRA team. We started doing Oil Camp for the first time through Facebook when I was a gold leader. And it was huge for us in our push to diamond. So really why Oil Camp is valuable. I'll show you guys what it actually is here in a second. But the reason why Oil Camp is so amazing is because I think there's kind of like two types of builders that will come to me with different types of problems. There's one person on one side who's like, I love helping people with oils. I love doing my doTERRA business. And they've kind of like positioned themselves as this expert, right? Because they've created a lot of value for their customers. They've had a lot of people that have seen really powerful results with their oils. And so they're the people like nonstop getting text messages about how to use oils or like, what do I do for this? What do I do for that? Like all the time. They're getting those texts all the time. Or they're like, wait, there's a share and they're like, how do I enroll somebody again? Or how do I get them in the Facebook group? How do I get them on continuing ed? And really getting all those questions. It's like you're constantly getting questions. And of course you love it because you want to take care of your customers, but that can get overwhelming. The second type of people that I will work with, like wellness advocates, are the ones that they're like, their customers are like giving them radio silence. Like they have nothing. Nobody's reaching out to them with questions. And it actually really sucks because they want to be growing their teams faster. And they're like, I just can't get my people to use their oils. Or like they're just struggling to get where they want to go. So ultimately, the problem that Oil Camp solves is like all these things listed out here. So like if you're somebody that isn't as happy with the progress you're making, maybe you don't have customers or you don't know how to help your customers quickly become more of an essential oil enthusiast. Maybe you struggle getting people on the loyalty program, or you struggle finding people that want to be a sharer or even host a class for you. You struggle finding partners with the business, you struggle in rank advancing, or your retention, like the repeat orders isn't where you want it to be. Maybe you don't have like the customer connection that you want to happen in the community that you want to experience within your team. If you resonate with any of those, I will just tell you that Oil Camp can be an incredible tool for you to go to the next level in your business. And I think you'll agree as I show it to you more. So Oil Camp really is a system that helps to minimize overwhelm in your business. If you are struggling to like keep up with people, or like I said before, if you're struggling to like rank advance the way you want to, then you need either better systems or you need like another additional form of support, which is really where Oil Camp comes in. Oil Camp, number one, creates community. Number two, it provides education. Number three, it includes a lot of support for your new customers. So it's this beautiful way to onboard your customers that doesn't require you 24/7. Really, that's like time freedom at its essence, right? And that's what we all want to create in our businesses. So Oil Camp, again, it's creating community engagement and accountability for our customers to learn about the products that they bought and therefore start seeing results with them. And really, through the community engagement and accountability from Oil Camp, it helps to create retention, which is what we all want. And it also helps to create duplication because of the way not only can you support your customers, but your builders or your sharers can support their customers within Oil Camp. So I'm going to go ahead and pause my screen or the PowerPoint for a second. And I'm just going to show you guys a brief look at what Oil Camp looks like. A brief look at what Oil Camp looks like. Wow, struggling with words. So this is the example event, and basically Oil Camp is in a program called My Event Cafe that works in some ways similar to Facebook without all the distraction of Facebook. And I think, I mean, if anybody else is like me, like half the people I enroll these days are on Facebook, if not less. Like even if they have Facebook, most people aren't logging into their Facebooks anymore. So Facebook is just not what it used to be, and it doesn't function well with Oil Camp anymore, which is why we're using My Event Cafe. So you'll see how Oil Camp is built out into a 10-day educational program. It takes customers about 15 to 20 minutes to go through the learning that's included here. So for instance, you can see Tuesday is all about peppermint oil. There's a 1-minute video on how to use peppermint. Then there's some safety here, a 1-minute safety video. And then there's a daily challenge telling them how to use peppermint. And for each day, they click activity complete, they comment below here. And basically when they engage, that's how they earn points and then win free stuff. And every day they get a text reminder to go to Oil Camp. So it's perfect because it reminds them, and it's not you having to remind them. It's the program reminding them to go there, and then they can interact and we can build relationships within the comments. So hopefully that gives you a clear picture of what Oil Camp is. I know that was really fast, and you all probably won't fully understand what Oil Camp is, honestly, until you participate in it. So this first round, I would encourage everybody on. You like need to do Oil Camp yourself, because if you don't do Oil Camp, you're not going to be able to promote it the way you would if you had experienced it yourself. And plus, you're going to learn things in the process too. There's so much education and value packed in to these 10 days, but it really literally takes 15 to 20 minutes. So it will be something I think you guys will all love. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share a brief video from a woman named Jenna. They were the original people that created Oil Camp Academy, and they're kind of the people that have been the brains behind this system. And so she's going to share some really helpful action-based things that you will need to do as you invite your own customers into Oil Camp. So this first round, of course, we want you to participate, but there might be, we have a limited number of spots, but some of you might be able to have a spot to invite a customer in with you as well. And I'm going to give you a vision, like this will help you know what you need to do to support your customers as they go through Oil Camps themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and play this, and I would encourage you to take notes with this as you go. And again, as you, like if questions surface about how you function as a coach during Oil Camp, I want to make sure you guys have space to ask those in the Q&A.
Your action list is to register for Oil Camp. This is really easy because your upline leader will send you a registration link. It's actually the same link that you will send your campers as well, which we'll talk about in a minute. But as you register the very first time, you'll create a free account at myeventcafe.com. Your upline leader is paying for this platform, so you have no cost to participate. You're actually participating as a coach the same way that a camper does. And I'll show you a way to identify yourself as a coach in just a minute. But just know that every time you coach Oil Camp, you're going to register for the event the same way as if you were a camper. And leaders watching this video, if you're the account holder, when you create the event in My Event Cafe, it will automatically register you as an attendee of the event as well. And that's just from the programming side, so that it knows all of you and your campers want access to the event and want the daily reminders and that sort of thing. The second thing that we should talk about is how to find your events. Really, it's so amazingly easy in My Event Cafe, because if you're signed up to receive daily reminders, which I'll make sure you know how to do in just a minute, all you have to do is click the reminder link that comes in your email or the text message, whichever your team is offering and whichever you sign up for, which I'll show you in a second, we'll flip over. But you'll just click that link in your reminder and you'll be taken directly to your Oil Camp. And once you log in the first time, you're not going to need to log in each day. So it's really amazing because My Event Cafe was built to be very mobile friendly. So it will work seamlessly from your phone, your tablet, or your computer. So if you are receiving text messages, and if your campers are getting text messages, It will come with a daily reminder each morning that's like, hey, we're ready for you at Oil Camp. And then you'll just click the link or tap the link in that reminder text and you'll land right there in Oil Camp on day 1. Day 2, you'll land on day 2. It's so seamless and easy. And I love this part because, you know, what none of us want to give up from Facebook is the engagement, right? And that came really naturally there because people were already hanging out on Facebook anyway. And the communication, that conversation is just so natural on that platform. And none of us want to lose that, right? But My Event Cafe really has solved this because with this option of daily email reminders and text reminders, which is my preference if your country supports it. If you're in the US or Canada, I really recommend having the text service.
Hey, Chris, when you mute yourself, we can't hear what she's talking about.
Every day, which is their text messages, right? So in their
Thanks
text
for telling
message, they
me
just have
that.
this little link and they tap it and there they are in camp, rather than having to go type in a website and log in, which isn't that hard, but it's 2 steps removed from where they are naturally anyway. And so that when you have that kind of setup, it lessens your engagement. With this daily reminder setup, whether text or email, they'll go from a place they're hanging out anyway and be led directly to your camp with the click of a button. The other way that you can find your events is if you just go directly to myeventcafe.com and log in there. This can be helpful if you're registered for more than one event. Maybe you're attending an event that somebody's offering and you're going to learn, and maybe you're coaching an event. And so if you would like, you can just log in directly at My Event Cafe and that will show you your library of all of the events that you're enrolled in at the time. And then you can select where you'd like to go to start learning or coaching that day. So that can be helpful as well. But my preference is always just to click directly out of the link in my text messages. It's really fast and easy. The next thing you need to do is set your time zone and notifications. So let's flip over now and I will show you My Event Cafe and exactly how to do this. So you should be seeing my screen now. Up here on the right-hand side, well, first let me tell you, if you are not the account owner, you won't have this dashboard part. This is for the people that are paying for the account and have the ability to set up templates and schedule events and things. For you guys as coaches, what you have is access to the event. And then over here on the right-hand side, you'll have your profile. So click your name and select profile. Now this is where I want you to set up your notification method. If your leader is offering text,
It just paused for a second. Sorry, y'all, it's loading. We are offering texts. It costs a little bit extra, but y'all are worth it. So we're offering texts. Shoot, I don't know why it's thinking so much. Go video. You can do it. I'm going to try to minimize it and re-pull it back up.
offering text, sign up for text. Sign up for text for sure. The other option is email, and coming soon is Telegram. If you're in a country that doesn't support text, Telegram is going to be a really great option for you because you can have your campers sign up for Telegram. It's a communication app that doesn't run off cellular data, so we don't have the expense of that. Similar to WhatsApp, but it's not owned by Facebook, and so there's a little less barriers to work through in using Telegram. So that's going to be a great option coming very soon as well. So select your notification method, which is going to be text, hopefully, and then daily reminder. Tell it what time you want your reminder to come. If you're not a morning person, get your reminder at 10 a.m. Totally fine. The last thing is to click notify me when I'm mentioned. And we'll talk about this in a minute. I'll show you what that means. But as a coach, you're going to want to receive real-time alerts for when people are commenting and talking so that you can go in and respond and keep that conversation going. On the days that you are kind of the coach on demand, right? The one that's assigned to be there and answer questions, this can be really, really helpful. The last thing I want you to do while we're here in this screen is the fourth item on your checklist, which is to edit your profile to show you are a coach. I love this part. It's just so simple. Go over here to your name and type the word coach afterward. And this makes it so that every time you comment in your event, it shows up as your name with coach after it. So this is really great for campers, especially if they're new and they don't even know, haven't met some of the leaders on your team, right? They can easily tell with every comment who's a coach and who's a camper and who their resources are. This is also helpful on the back end for your team when it comes time to do the point tracking at the end, which is much simplified. Before you get concerned about point tracking, it's nothing like it used to be. But this is really helpful because you and your leaders, all the coaches on the team, will show up on that report because it's just pulling a report of all of the activity during camp. And so if it's really clear in your profile name that you're a coach, that makes it easy for the point tracker to just not pay attention to you and not factor you in as a rock star person that should be in the running for the grand prize. So that is important there as well. So after you have made those changes and including your time zone here, this is important because this reminder time that you set over here will be sent based on what you tell it your time zone is over here. So save this whole section and then you've got your profile all set up. The next thing that we need to understand is alerts. Now, alerts are like your notifications in Facebook. So let me show you a live event so that you can see how alerts work. So when you are talking with your campers, you can see when they tag you, it shows up with their name in here, right? So when I want to respond to Carol, I can type reply and then go down to type comment. I'm just going to type the @ sign and it's going to pull up a list of all my current campers. And then as I start to type, it will narrow that list down and I can select her name and then type my comment to her. Now, when I do that, I hit post. I'm not going to because I don't want her to get a message about that. But then up here in alerts, Carol is going to see that she has an alert waiting. And so this is great because your new alerts will show up in blue. Once you have looked at them, they're in gray. So it's really easy to tell where you're at in checking your alerts. Now, this is really helpful for obviously the conversation. The more you can tag each other back and forth, especially if you're already, let's say, a camper, you're on day 4 and a camper has already logged in and viewed all the information because they're a morning person, but then you get on later at lunchtime and you're commenting and responding back to them. They may not think to come back and look at that post because they've already finished it, right? But if you tag them, then they'll get an alert and they'll see your comment or your response to their question. So in the day 1 challenge, you guys might remember we used to have a challenge in there about using On Guard. Well, we decided when we moved to My Event Cafe that it would be really helpful if we had a simple tutorial for the campers to teach them about My Event Cafe and about how to tag and really encourage them to do that, encourage them to sign up for the daily reminders. So we have that in there as their daily challenge now, and we've told our campers to really utilize this tagging feature to keep the conversation going. And so definitely as coaches, I want you to get really, really used to mentioning. That will really, really help your conversation. Now, what you need to know about alerts is that when you have alerts here, you'll remember on the profile screen a minute ago, I had you check the box that said notify me when I mentioned. And that's what this means. If someone mentions you, you'll receive a text or an email notification based on what you signed up for in that profile there to tell you that somebody has mentioned you. And then My Event Cafe is only going to notify you that one time until you come in and check your alerts here. And there's 2 reasons for that. So somebody might have mentioned you 3 or 4 more times or 6 or 7 times, but they're only gonna message you one time about it until you come and check your alerts. And that's because 2 reasons. One, My Event Cafe is really concerned about keeping the cost low for leaders. The other thing is they just wanna be really considerate of people's lives and not send an interruption into your life every time somebody comments or mentions you. And so it's set up so that it'll tell you one time, and then you know that there's one waiting for you there. And if when you log in, you have 6 or 7, cool. You see them all when you log in. And then once you have looked at your alerts, you can either click clear alerts or you can look at them one at a time. And this is the really cool part. It will take you directly. If I click on the alert waiting for me here, it will take me exactly to that comment, not just to the right post, but exactly to the comment that somebody left me. And so as I do that, it's clearing the alerts as I look at each of those, okay? Once that's done, My Event Cafe is automatically triggered that your alerts are clear and you need to know next time somebody mentions you. So get used to mentioning, use that a lot. I will say there are times that I will actually, just as a little tip, I will actually mention everybody in the camp. And this is easier to do if you're running a smaller camp of 15 to 25 people. But sometimes I make a comment or share a recipe or something that I'm like, whoa, really everybody should see this. But again, if we're on day 4 and some people are already done and I'm finally logging in to add some some of my own coaching and things, those people that have done it already may not see. And so sometimes I'll just go in the comments and I'll be like, hey, here's da 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 da. And then I'll just take 30 seconds and tag every single person in the camp. And that's so easy to do because you just type the @ and that whole list of campers pulls up. Okay, so that can be a helpful tip as well. The next thing I want to show you is I mentioned point tracking, and I will have a totally separate module for you guys on how to do the point tracking because it is so much simpler, and I'll keep that to a separate video. But what I want you to know here is that part of the point tracking comes from the campers telling My Event Cafe that they have completed the activity. So as the campers go through, we've told them in our orientation video for them to click this button after every activity because that lets us know that they're done. For you guys as coaches, I want you to not click this button, okay? So what that's gonna do is make it a little more clear at the end, just to make everything really easy for the point tracker. If you don't show that you have 98% of the activity is done, that makes you look less like a camper. So between putting coach in your profile name and between you not clicking any of the activity buttons, it just makes it really easy to scan as the point tracker and be like, boom, 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 these are who my awesome rock star campers are. And then it makes the point tracking even easier. Okay, the last thing that I want to show you here in My Event Cafe is in regards to inviting your customers to camp. So when your leader sets up an event, their dashboard will look like this, and you guys won't see this part, but they're going to copy a registration link and copy a social media link and send you either one or both of those. Just to explain the difference, the registration link is perfect to use if you're sending that out over text or email because it will take your campers directly to the event. The social media link will do the same thing, but it has some extra built-in programming that makes it so that when they post this link on social media, it will allow a thumbnail image to pull up. If you use the registration link on social media, you won't see an image like you're used to seeing pop up on Facebook or Instagram. So either link will get your customers to the registration page, but that's the difference between the two and why you have two options. I do want you to know as well that we at Oil Camp Academy have sample invitation scripts. We have one for existing customers and one for brand new customers. So as you know, with Oil Camp, we really recommend that all your brand new customers get to Oil Camp right away after getting their kit. It's such a great way to onboard them to your team and to their new kit and all of that. But we also really recommend that you use Oil Camp as a reactivation tool because there are probably plenty of people on your team that never got this kind of support because you didn't have it in place yet when you first enrolled them. And so the second script for existing customers speaks more to that side of it of like, I know you've been using oils and you might have plenty of experience at this point, but you didn't get this when we started. And it just talks about how even when we have existing customers come, they always leave saying, wow, I can't believe how much I learned, or I didn't realize I could use my tea tree oil for so many other things, right? So there's two different scripts available for you, and just ask for that because those are available for you guys to use as well to make it easier to invite to camp. The other thing you guys need to decide as a team is how you're going to communicate about the registration information. As your camp is approaching, you'll want to be able to see who has enrolled in the camp and who hasn't. So you know who to follow up with, who's there from whose team, right? Some of those things that we used to like Eventbrite for. My Event Cafe has built in the features that we needed from Eventbrite without all the extra fluff and made it so that the registration process you only create once. And then every time you run an Oil Camp event, that registration is duplicated and it's so easy. So this is the information that goes into the registration page. So when your customers click the link, we're in editing mode now, but this is what they're going to see and what you saw when you registered for camp. So the questions that I like to ask are, who did you purchase your oils from? What's your doTERRA ID? Have you attended camp with us before? Because if they have, I don't give them a prize the second, third, fourth, fifth time that they come to camp. They're always welcome to come back for the education, but I only give prizes their first time through. And then I like to ask them what their current shipping address is because as you know, the back office has everyone's information, but there's a couple issues. One, I don't like how many clicks it takes me to get to the information. I would rather ask my campers that right here and have it on a spreadsheet when I go to send out prizes at the end of camp. The other thing is that especially, you know, in that reactivation mode we were talking about, you might have people that signed up 3 years ago and haven't ordered in a long time, and their address on their doTERRA account has not been updated because they've moved and they just haven't ordered or had a reason to update it. So I always like to ask this question. So these questions can be really helpful, and you as a leadership team will need to decide how you want to share this information. Your leader has the ability to download a report in their report section, they can download a report of the enrollment questions, and that will pull up exactly what I just showed you, the person's name, email, phone number, and then the answers to those questions. And so you'll be able to see. My recommendation is to use the roster that we provide and put that in Google Drive, and then whoever, the team leader or the assistant or whoever, can be in charge of updating that information on the roster once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, whatever your team feels like you need based on how active the enrollment page is. And then you as leaders will have access to it in a Google Drive link. So that's something to sort out with your leader, but just know you have the ability to see that registration and know who's on whose team and who you should follow up with and all that sort of thing. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is just this little tip at the very end about creating your own coaching template. You guys, I so highly recommend this. Save your comments, right? When you're coaching your camp, I don't know if you've done this in the past when we were on Facebook, but save your comments. Every time you introduce yourself, you're probably going to be saying the same type of thing, right? And I found with my very first camp, it was like every time we got to the day 2 challenge on peppermint, I always wanted to throw in this tip, especially in the summertime, right? About cooling yourself down with making a little peppermint and water spray that you could just spritz on yourself and cool down, or for hot flashes if you're in that stage of life. Every time we get to day 3, when we talk about the relaxing bath salts, I always added in this story about my sister and her autoimmune stuff and her favorite recipes that she likes to use in the bath, right? So all of those comments I just grabbed and I put them in my coaching template. And for me personally, when I go to coach camp, I don't like to type on my phone a whole bunch. It just bugs me. So when I come onto coach camp, I'm a lot faster if I just have my event open in my event cafe. And then I have my coaching template right next to it, and I can copy and paste and drop things in that way. So as you do this, I really encourage you, for any recipes you can routinely share, or things that you say, or stories that you tell.
Okay, y'all, you get the idea of what she's saying. So just briefly, I'm going to show you, this is within our team 2021 collaboration folder. If you go under continuing education, there is a new file called Oil Camp. And you'll find there that we have a camp roster that will update. And every month that we run an oil camp, that's where I'll keep the roster that she was talking about, so you can track who of your customers has registered. And then we also have a Google Doc here that has sample scripts that you can use for brand new customers, for reactivations. And then if you have somebody that did register for oil camp, but by day 2 hasn't started commenting, this is just a little text that you can send them to check in and see if they're having problems, maybe with learning how to use my event cafe, just like a little text reminder to check in with them and make sure they're planning on joining, and you can help them at that point with what they need. So there were a few other things that I wanted to make sure to cover, and I want to have just like a couple minutes for questions. So the big thing that I wanted to talk about is responsibilities and what expectations are. And so the first thing that I'll say before we get lost in the weeds of what's on that slide is, you are going to get out of oil camp what you put into it. And so obviously, we've done a lot of work to make this happen. We're super excited, but if you don't take full ownership of your business is never going to get to your goals in the way that you want it to. So I share responsibilities just so you're really clear on what you can do and do really well and focus on. Yeah, we'll continue to go from there. And if there's any areas that are gray or you guys have questions, I'd love to hear them. So first of all, Tyler and I, we already purchased the Oil Camp Academy format, and we've customized it for our team. Caitlin made some amazing graphics to personalize it for our team. And then we're paying for the platform and the texting service. And then I'm also going to be paying a VA to do the tracking of the points every month to determine who is going to earn a prize. And then we will always be paying for the grand prize winner gift, at least for this group here, until, people's organizations grow and you start running your own oil camps and things like that. But then as far as for you guys as coaches, your main role is to, number one, use those text scripts to invite your customers. And like I said, we'll be in touch, by tomorrow with more details on how many spots we have available for the first oil camp that we run. We might even run 2 for this month. We're trying to figure out our schedule. And as I'm sure you guys know, there's just like so many people on our team that I know are going to be jazzed about this. Even this training was invite only. So anyways, we'll be in touch with details on how many customers you can invite in the first round. But to be on top of it, you might start organizing yourself and thinking about like, who are my brand new customers that I want to invite in right away? Or who are strategic reactivations that would help me for Power of 3 or for my rank that I really want to get into Oil Camp as soon as possible? And if you're clear on those people, then that's going to help you a lot. The second thing is you want to interact and add value for your campers. And I would just encourage you to have time planned in your day where you do this once a day. We're not going to assign a coach to a specific day, but our expectation is that if you have customers that are in Oil Camp, that you will be on Oil Camp as well with them and answering their questions and even supporting Crossline, because if you're supporting Crossline, other Crossline is going to support you back. And that's the goal, is that community feel that helps everybody rise, right? And then as far as prizes, we're going to have all Premier Plus leaders use their points, your points that you earn through LRP, to pay for the completion gifts. And then you can either mail them out or deliver them within the week after the winners are announced. And so we haven't like said in Oil Camp what the specific completion prize will be, but what we personally are going to do is like just honestly either things that we have in stock that we think would be fun for people, like extra oils that we have on hand, or I think we will rotate between some of the emotional blends like Motivate or Passion, some of those different fun roller bottles that new oil users a lot of times don't have. So that would be for Premier Plus leaders. So then you need to think through like, are there leaders on your team that you're going to be helping with the expense of Oil Camp up front? And again, if any of you guys have questions on this or want to talk through this specifically for you, we're game for that. And then the last thing would be that you would be willing to follow up with your customers afterwards to continue their education, get them plugged into maybe the forums that we have or our continuing ed classes that are once a month. And then also there is like a very brilliant way to use Oil Camp to find referrals. And basically, what happens at the beginning of Oil Camp is there's a prompt that will ask people like, hey, if you're the grand prize winner, who do you want to give a trio pack to of lemon, lavender, peppermint? And they comment and they say who they would want to give that to. And you can actually, at the end of Oil Camp, go back and look at your personally enrolled customers. Who did they say that they would want to give that trio pack to? And you can reach out to them and ask them like, hey, what made you think of her? Does she have any specific health challenges that she's facing? I'd love to get her some free samples, even though you weren't the grand prize winner. So there's some brilliant ways to get even referrals through Oil Camp. And then a few other tips that I wanted to share before we go into Q&A are, I think I might have actually covered them all. So day 2, if your customer hasn't shown up at camp, you want to check in with them. You want to check and engage with your customers once per day, share helpful tips and value. I love what Jenna did with her own template where she's literally copying and pasting things. And then you want to follow up with your customers after camp. And yeah, we'll be reaching out with more details to let you guys all know how many spots that you have. So for sure, if you're on this training, you're a wellness advocate, you are going to get to participate in camp yourself. So then you'll be able to see what it looks like, be able to operate with it, and then you'll know what you're inviting into as well. But we'll be in touch beyond that. So anyways, would love to ask or like go through any questions you guys have, and then we're gonna jump over to the study training. Okay. When is the camp going to be? The first camp is going to run on next Monday, May 10th. And there will be a max number that you can invite. Just in general, in the camps, when we run one, there's a maximum of 50 people that can register, and that includes wellness advocates. So what we're leaning towards is we will likely have multiple camps starting next Monday for our like silver leaders to head up. So we're thinking, well, yeah, we'll be in touch and have a lot more clarity probably even tomorrow morning. So there will be a good group of people going through oil camp for sure. Does anybody else have any other questions? Are you guys excited? I'm like so excited. So I think I said this the first time we ran oil camp, I was a gold leader, and within the next half a year our team went platinum, diamond, and then Melissa's team, who was also running their own oil camps, they also went diamond within that half a year. So that just gives you a little bit of a picture of what oil camp did for our teams. Yeah, Jeff asked, and there will potentially be another round happening later in the month. Yes, we're talking about adding another round because y'all are killing it. There's so many new enrollments on our team, and it just like, we need like extensions of all of us, right? Does anybody like feel the like, I want to give my customers so much more? And some of them don't prefer continuing ed, and continuing ed is amazing. And I really encourage you guys to keep inviting your new customers to the forums. Emily Wolf is going to rock a pain management class next Thursday. Keep inviting to those, but this hopefully will be kind of a bridge builder for people. They start experiencing some of the value our community has to offer, and they can get more excited about jumping onto other stuff. And then as we continue on from this month, I think for a while, if there's a need, we will likely run at least one oil camp per month. So you guys always have something to invite new customers into as like an onboarding sort of process for them to start using their oils. And this is nothing to replace a wellness consult, not to replace a wellness consult. Wellness consults are still very necessary. Caitlin just asked, I'm guessing we should do this oil camp even if we've done one before. Oh, that's a good question, Caitlin. It's up to you. I mean, it definitely is different in like even the videos we've done and stuff like that. But I think like you can make your own judgment call if you're going through and you're like, I've read it, you don't have to like, you just kind of like skim, check, did it sort of thing. But I think if you get an idea of the flow, we have made tweaks, and in previous oil camps, we didn't talk about the loyalty program. This does talk about the loyalty program. It also talks about co-impact sourcing. It also talks about 3 types of people. So there's like a brief touch point on the business. And those things are very different than the way we used to run oil camp. So anyways, great questions, guys. Any others? Otherwise, I'm going to hop off to the next training about studies. If we have people on, we need to be on though, yeah. So if you as a wellness advocate have customers that you invite to be a part of camp, then yes, you need to be on to take care of your customers, for sure. Because my goal is not to like replace you as their leader. And so anyways, even as you go through the camp, you'll notice right now that it's primarily videos with me and then another leader, Jen and Jim Rohr. But over time, after we get through this first round of oil camp, we're going to be replacing those videos with leaders from the LDC. So if any of you are like right away, you're like, I have capacity, give me a video, I will get you a video to make. But for now, we're gonna just pause on that until we've gotten the in the groove of inviting into this. Yeah, Emily Wolf, you're the bomb. She's like, give me a video. Emily rocks at videos. Okay, cool. Thank you guys so much. I'm gonna hop over to the other. Oh, Danny said do the. Oh, do they need all the oils to participate in oil camp? That's such a good question. So oil camp is designed to go through the oils that you get in most of the starter kits, but you guys know like Healthy Start is not the same as Healthy Essentials. And there is like some differences. And so when they get into oil camp, in one of the very first videos, it tells them if you don't have the oil that's needed for the daily challenge, then just comment and say that and you still get points. You're not going to be penalized for not having an oil. So I think like the way it flows, like for instance, lavender and adaptive are on the same day. So it's a day to kind of talk about calming oils. So usually somebody has, either lavender or adaptive or maybe serenity from the Simple Solutions kit. So it's definitely designed in a way that people can do it even if they don't have all of the oils. But at the same time, hopefully it covers a majority of the oils that came in their starter kit. So anyways, great question.
Can you say again where on Oil Camp Academy you make a free account?
That's a good question. I mean, I think you just go, Oil Camp Academy. Well, so
Is that what it's called?
our event is in my event cafe.
Oh, okay.
That's where you want to make a free account. Yeah. Oil Camp Academy are people that like sell the templates that you use to make these things. Yeah.
Okay.
And I will likely be uploading a few other like helpful checklists that Oil Camp Academy has given us. So like this is literally a checklist that they've made for like ideas of what to do every day. So if you're like a checklist sort of person and you just want something like this to walk through the first time you take a customer through Oil Camp, then this will be helpful. And then there's also, this is a helpful resource that talks about how to get referrals after your customers have gone through Oil Camp. And so I'll upload that too, just so you guys have that information there. Again, you're going to get out of Oil Camp what you put in. And I'm excited. I've never used Oil Camp to get referrals, but this script, I'm like, oh yeah, I could ask somebody that. That's so natural. And it communicates the heart of wanting to help their friends that potentially have health issues and would love a free sample. So anyways, it's a brilliant way to expand your network and the people that you're able to help. So thank you guys. Have a great night. We're gonna hop on over to the other training for essential oil studies. So if you are somebody that was planning on being a part of that, I should share the link quick, 1 second. I'll put the Zoom link in the chat and then you can join over there. Good night, everyone.